Hey guys, this is Zach with Farm Table West, and today I wanted to do a little farm tour for July because it is now uh, July 28th, and everything is exploding, which is normal. Right around this time of year is when our real harvest season starts, and we're about to be picking truckloads of tomatoes from everything you see behind me here, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So let me take you on a tour. Uh, so right behind me, we've got 5 rows of greenhouse tomatoes. I don't think they were very exciting last video, so they are now. They're all pretty much taller than me, and I'm 6'5". So we got 2 rows of red slicers, 1 row of heirloom slicers, 1 row of paste tomatoes, and 1 row of cherries. And they're all pretty much green. They're starting to ripen now. We're picking like, I don't know, like half of what we will be in a couple weeks. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster already this year with tomatoes. We had a big problem with herbicide drift, which you can kind of see on a little bit of the leaves. I don't know if you can see that, but there's some herbicide damage still here. And that sort of, most of them grew out of that and didn't die, but then a bunch of them got disease because they were a lot more susceptible to disease and stuff. So I've had to pull a whole bunch of plants, but honestly, it's looking like it's still going to be okay. We're going to be pretty good. I'm still going to have a truckload of tomatoes. So I'm excited. It's not going to be as devastating as I thought it was going to be back in like May when it first showed up. But yeah, it's kind of scary. The whole herbicide thing is, just part of growing in our world right now. You gotta have to think about that. So I wish it wasn't, but it just is what it is, and it's a complicated issue. I understand why you have to do it, especially if you're growing on 50 acres or something and you got to spray. I understand that, but I don't spray at all, and it just sucks that it has to affect other people around you. And I don't really know what the solution is. It's a long conversation. I don't really want to get into it today, but maybe someday. But anyway, most of them are doing really well. And let me walk around here. So let's see if, so this is kind of cool. This is our PVC pipe that you use to wrap the plants around. And so pretty soon we're going to start wrapping this plant around the PVC, and they get clipped onto this conduit up here, so then you don't have to use a ladder to pick them up because they're going to get really, really tall really fast. And then let me flip the camera. So here's our second batch of celery, and I've already started harvesting the first batch. So that's going to be we'll pick the outer stems of these plants right here, and it works really, really great even if you got a garden, because you'll get a whole bunch of celery and then it'll regrow. You'll get like 3 or 4 harvests out of it throughout the whole season. It's awesome, and it works a lot better than just harvesting the whole head, because then the whole head is just too much usually to eat. And then this is our fall broccoli, or at least some of it. I was going to do cucumbers in here, this bed, but I decided to do broccoli because I don't think we have time to really get a lot of cucumbers out of this last planting I got. And then our newest ones are over there, and they're producing right now. This is super cool. This is our greenhouse peppers, and as you can see, they're just starting to ripen now. Today's the first day I noticed that. So that's one of the orange ones, and we're going to grow them up this string, and to kind of trying out pruning method, kind of like we do with tomatoes and cukes, only the peppers are just a lot slower. But yeah, you can see they're starting to grow up really tall and starting to ripen, but that's pretty awesome. We're going to start picking peppers next week, I bet. And we got a little bit of grasshopper issues and some weeds in here, but I don't worry too much about weeds in here because it just doesn't, the weeds just don't blow in here because it's all covered in plastic, so we don't get a lot of new weeds. The only weeds I've got a problem with are this bindweed right here, which kind of grows in under the plastic, and I'm going to put some polycarbonate underneath the ground next year to stop this from happening, but we're just going to have to deal with it this year. It's kind of a mess, but it's not that big of a deal. This is our basil, second batch of basil that's doing really, really well. Got a new compost guy this year that's, if you're local, this guy named JB Farling up in Billings produces this compost. It is spectacular stuff. He uses, he checks every batch for herbicide and uses beef parts from a slaughterhouse and makes it into compost. It is really, really good stuff. I'm stoked about that because it's hard to find good compost around here. But anyway, these are our cucumbers that are really starting to produce like crazy now. We got a pickling bed, and we do this lowering and leaning with them, just like the tomatoes, only they grow like way faster. They're like 2 feet a week. We've already lowered these a couple times, and they've only been in the ground since May-ish, I think. So these are the second batch of slicer cucumbers, and they're doing amazing. And then here's a little closer look at the slicer tomatoes. They're just starting to go crazy now. We picked them today, so there's not too many ripe ones, but they are ripening on the vine pretty good. And they're just going to be prolific here pretty soon. Most of these right here are grafted, so that means they're going to be probably a little more productive. And you can see the graft, I think, on some of them. Maybe not. But yeah, I had to pull a whole bunch in this bed because there was this really bad fungus problem that, I don't know, I was surprised that it happened on the grafted ones, but yeah, I don't know. I thought they would be less likely to get that kind of stuff, but a lot of the grafted ones had a problem. But you can see the graft right here from way back in March when I did that. But they're just about ready to start exploding. This is the heirlooms, and they, again, were just picked today. They got a lot more legginess to them. They're a goofy plant, but they're doing really nice. They're lots of green still. In about a week they'll just explode. Here's some electroculture. I moved the electroculture over here. We'll see how that really changes things over the course of the season. Yeah, lots of herbicide stuff going on with this guy. Yeah, this will be way more exciting in the next month. But here's the Granadero paste tomatoes. They're kind of like Romas. These are prolific, awesome for the garden or greenhouse. They love the greenhouse. They just really go up a lot. More than a lot more than just your regular paste. I've grown a couple different kinds of paste, and most of the time they're more bushy, but these ones are just really like to go up. And then we got our cherries over here. This one's a San Marzano that I just transplanted because I had to pull a bunch of plants, and so that's kind of what a normal San Marzano looks like, or but a lot of them just get disease way quicker. Here's some more of that bindweed stuff that I got to figure out how to deal with. I'm going to experiment with spraying vinegar on it, just because I can't really rip them out by hand. They just keep growing back really bad. So here's some more broccoli. Oh, it looks like we lost a plant somehow. And the grasshoppers are loving this guy. I got to definitely deal with that. Yeah, see, there's a grasshopper right there. But yeah, these cherries are starting to really plump. Yeah, in about 2 weeks or so, we'll just be swimming in them. We got a couple different varieties. This is mostly Sakura, which is a really good greenhouse one. But then this one over here. This one's called Sun Peach. I think this is an open pollinated heirloom, and it's supposed to be one of the best tasting ones. I haven't really seen that yet, but they're still kind of early for this batch because this was all unheated, so they're a little bit, you know, later. And in Wyoming, that's pretty normal. Like our normal big tomato season starts right about now, and then goes through September. So yeah, everybody's looking very good in here now after I pulled about 20 to 40 plants. I don't even remember, but we started with about 240 and I'm probably down to about 210-ish. So probably won't even matter much, just because I'm noticing they're producing like crazy in the other greenhouse, which I'll show you here. So something we've been doing with the tomatoes this year is definitely working, because I was expecting only about 90 pounds a week in July in this first batch, and we're getting somewhere around 170 to 250 pounds a week right now. And I have no idea why. It's just crazy. I'm guessing the Jadam stuff helps a lot, pruning, and it's also surprising because there's blight on like half the plants. So, and the fruit is totally sellable. I'm blown away by how well it's worked. So, yeah, it's awesome. So let me show you what's going on in here. So this is all about, you know, 6 weeks ahead of the stuff I just showed you, and including the celery over here. We've already picked this once. It's already about ready to harvest again. But this whole everything here has been absolutely prolific since about the 4th of July. Like, I've been overwhelmed with tomatoes and I wasn't ready for it yet. It was just like way too much. Everything was ripening really fast, so I've had to figure out how to sell them faster, and it's a really good problem to have. But it was really scary that for a while, because, you know, 90 pounds is one thing, but 270 is like 3 times as much. Is a little bit, you know, overwhelming if you're not ready for it. But it's still super awesome. Here's a little closer look. And again, we just picked these today, so there's nothing really ripening yet, but all of that is probably 20-30 pounds of fruit right there on like 4 plants. Just crazy. Yeah, and they're starting to ripen already after I picked them this morning. That's crazy. They'll do that. Like, as soon as you pick the first batch, they'll start ripening by the afternoon. Like, that's ready. Just how fast it's happening is crazy. But as you can see, if I had to pull a whole bunch of plants because of disease, because it's been so humid this spring. Here's the cherries, kind of full production cherries, and we're pulling about 30 pounds a week out of this bed, which is good. A little bit of electroculture there, and I still am not seeing anything huge on that, but it could be working. I don't know, because like the yields we're getting are just crazy. The cherries are about normal. I'm not really that surprised about the yields here. But this is the grafted Sakura, and some of these fruit spurs are just crazy long. Well, that one's, I saw some that were like 2 feet long. Like these are close to 2 feet. That is almost 2 feet long. Yeah, that guy's definitely 2 feet. This guy right here, 2 feet. That's just crazy. Yeah, and these are all using the clipper system with these hooks that you hook onto conduit up here, and you lower and lean them every week by overlapping the clips. Definitely not my favorite job, but it helps harvesting and making harvesting easier and stuff. And this bed has definitely been the worst with blight damage, because I think our geothermal stuff, it was just pumping straight humidity to them earlier in the season, so that was not good. But it's still producing like really well, so if I get another month of production out of this stuff, I'll be thrilled, because the other ones are going to start taking over. But yeah, this bed's all pretty good. And one thing that's kind of cool is there was a lot of yellow leaves in this bed, and I was putting on the Jadam stuff, which is this fertilizer I'll show you in a minute. That's a really amazing, and they definitely turned green after I did that. But just so much fruit here. When it was, like, I think last week was probably the peak. There was so many colors in here. I wish I did the video then, but I just didn't have time. There was all sorts of greens pink, yellow, purple. I mean, this is already, that guy's blushing a little bit since this morning. That's a yellow one. And he's just exploding. But yeah, whenever I'm seeing the yellow leaves here, I'm throwing a little bit of compost at the bottom and some of my liquid fertilizer just to see if I can keep them going for a little longer, because there's still a lot of good fruit here. And I'm seeing this weird like white spot on here, and I don't think it's actually blight because it's not really ruining the fruit when I pick it. But if anybody knows what that is, let me know in the comments, because it's annoying, but it doesn't really ruin the fruit. Just, it's weird. But yeah, these are ripening already since this morning, and I think it might be because I don't have shade cloth on this greenhouse. So the other greenhouse has shade cloth and they're ripening a little bit slower. But I've also been closing the doors at night, and I think that also makes a huge difference. But yeah, these guys are just doing amazing. But we got that white spot thing going on here. Yeah, I'll show you the ripe ones too, the ones that are going to market tomorrow. But yeah, these have just been unbelievable. So I'm very grateful for the harvest on these this year. And then we got our early basil over here, all sorts of celery and celery and lettuce for the fall. We were already planting for winter. We put in winter kale yesterday. This is, what is this? It's not lettuce. That's that's a cabbage. That's fall cabbage. Oh, that's gonna go in a greenhouse, right? Yeah, I gotta go over the greenhouse stuff. Yeah, so this is all fall cabbage that's gonna go in a greenhouse. Oh yeah, and then let me show you this. The way the Jadam looks right now is absolutely disgusting, but this is JLF Jadam liquid fertilizer, and it is coffee black right now, and it smells like horrific death. But look at all that life in there. That's what I've been pouring on those yellow plants, and they are turning green. That's the one with grass, dandelions, and thistle, and it's just disgusting, but really works well. I've been putting it in my drip irrigation. And then this is the fruiting one, and it is even more disgusting. But that stuff is super fertile liquid fertilizer that I've just been putting rotten fruits in. And so now I've been feeding the plants with that, so hopefully they keep fruiting a lot longer. But and then I think I went over this in the last video, but I went and made this fertilizer injector deal here. So I just pour the fertilizer in this bucket, it sucks up, and then goes into the drip irrigation. So it's a pretty cool little system if you have drip. You could easily do this for pretty cheap. And let me show you what we've done in the past week here. Been pretty busy. So right behind me we got two new greenhouse footprints here. So we pulled up all the grass behind me. I don't know, I might have showed that in a couple videos past. All the grass was scraped up with a bobcat with a cutting blade, and then I put about 20 yards of compost. There's still some right behind me there. 20 yards spread out on the footprints, and then tilled it in with the bobcat. And so now we got our footprint all ready to go. There's going to be two 100 by 16 foot caterpillar tunnels put up here in about 2 weeks. They're going to be here next week, and we're going to build them, and all of our fall and winter crops are going to go, or a lot of our fall and winter crops are going to go right here, which is really exciting because I'm just running out of, I just needed more greenhouse space because all the stuff outside in the field here is not ready yet, or it's just now becoming ready, and it's just too late, you know, because I could sell a lot of stuff in June and July if I had it. So anyway, that's pretty exciting. There's going to be, all the beds are pretty much staked out and composted. I'll be planting winter carrots in here probably on Monday or Tuesday, and yeah, hopefully that whole project works. So we're going to document the, well, you'll see in the next video, they should be built, and I'm excited about them because they're just so cheap. Farmer's Friend LLC on the internet, you can buy these things. They're called caterpillar tunnels, and we should build them. These, I've already watched the video, and after building those other greenhouses, I could tell these are going to be so much easier, and we should get them done in like a day, or close to a day, whatever, you know, and that's just light years faster than what I've been doing with those other ones. So, and I hope they withstand the wind. We'll see. But I'm real excited about those because they're going to be, this is another 20 beds of crops to grow under plastic, and then they'll be ready, you know, a month early and a month late compared to the stuff outside behind me here, which is getting water right now. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then let me show you the ripe tomatoes. I'll probably go over this again in August, but this is still kind of cool. So we got a little bit of greens that we're going to take to market tomorrow. Those are just the ones I knocked off the plant on accident. But these are those Granadero pastes, the ones that are the real vigorous vertical ones, and they're just starting to come on. These are really good, just all-purpose producer, and tastes pretty good. It's not my favorite, but it's the pretty good taste. And then these are all the cherries. I believe this is a Sakura. It's really big, you know, it's like a golf ball size. And then these are the Sun Peach, which are kind of, they're pink. They're still, we're picking them a little unripe because they last a little bit longer for us, and the customer gets them, you know, for a good week before they start to really go crazy, splitting and stuff. And then here's you know, all the stuff we've got ripening at the moment, and I got this swamp cooler. I rigged up a swamp cooler to keep them cool because they were ripening too fast when I got all those at once. And so this is going to slow them down a lot, which is good for customers. And normally I'm not going to pick these ones. These ones don't need to be picked blushing, but a lot of them, the slicers, we are picking blushing just because they're, I hate to do that, but they just transport a lot better that way, and they're easier to deal with, because otherwise I'm getting a lot of this splitting, you know, like this. This particular variety seems to split a lot, but this one's called a Pink Wonder. This is a really delicious, it's like red velvet flavor. I don't know, it's very creamy. It's definitely one of my favorites this year. Heirloom type, but it's still hybrid, just bred with heirlooms. But this is that Marnero. It's in, these are all Johnny's tomatoes, and these are supposed to be like Cherokee purple, and they're still kind of green inside even when they're ripe, and they taste pretty acidic. Not as good as I hoped. I kind of thought they were going to be like the best thing ever, but they're gorgeous. They're purple, gorgeous, really popular at the market. And then most of these are just greenhouse slicers. I think Big Dina, Geronimo, Big Beef Plus, Jet Setter, I think are the 4 varieties, but I can't even tell the difference at this point. They're all mixed up. I could guess, but you know, I don't want to guess. But they're gorgeous, and they're just really the most productive I've ever seen. And there is a yellow heirloom in here somewhere. Where did that go? Oh yeah. So these are so heavy. I don't really like doing that, but I do have a yellow one. This one's called Margold, and This one's really cool. It's like a yellow orange when you cut into it, and they all look great with all three colors in the same tote. So anyway, that's a close-up of the tomatoes off the vine. Those are all going to be sold tomorrow. And then let me show you the field. All right, so now we're in the field, and I just irrigated in here. We planted some green onions this morning. I have employees now too, which is a huge deal for me. I've never had employees, and I've never been this relaxed at this time of year. It's amazing. I'm like about ready to go do some fun stuff, and it's Friday afternoon. I'm pretty much done. That's just totally amazing for me. But anyway, because last year I was working, you know, too much. Anyway, we just planted some green onions, and we watered them in. I just watered them in for a couple hours, and but anyway, we got a bunch of stuff going on in here now that is just about ready to be harvested. Let me turn the camera around. This is very exciting. These are the cabbages that I planted back in May, and these are really about ready. I'm going to start picking them next week. These are all 1 to 2 pound green cabbages, and they worked great. I was a little worried they were planted too dense, but I just harvested one yesterday and it was perfect. It was like 2 pounds. So it's a nice little personal cabbage that you don't, you know, if you just need some quick summer cabbage, it's a great option. I think it's called, I can't even remember what the name of it is. It's all on Johnny's, damn, what is it called? Omero or something like that. I should probably leave the varieties in the comments. I just don't remember off the top of my head, but these are all Johnny's. They're like the dwarf cabbages. I think this one's called Omero. This is the red one, and it's like a week or two later, but it's heading up really nice. That'll be ready in about 2 weeks. These are very cool. This is Caraflex, I believe. And these are cone cabbages. Really beautiful little mini cone cabbages, and I harvested the first one today. Those are almost ready. Next week, I'm guessing they'll be ready. And I have not had any trouble with the cabbage worms at all, which is really cool. I was a little worried about that, because I know they can be devastating even around here. But they're producing great. And the other thing that's just about is exploding now is this broccolini here. We picked the crap out of that this week and the last couple weeks. All sorts of I don't know, probably like 60 bunches out of these 2 beds this week. Lots of Salanova lettuce mix for salad mix sales. Fennel is almost ready. Probably a week or 2 for that. And then we got some amaranth here, which is really cool. I think it's the original quinoa or something. It's related to quinoa, so this will grow like 10 feet tall and produce these little seeds that are edible like popcorn. They're really delicious. It's a tasty weed. And these are the green onions we planted today. These are about a month earlier. And then over here is real broccoli. That's not ready yet. Everything in here has just been so behind this year, which is pretty much the same story as every year. I don't know why I expect it to be different, but it's just now coming on basically, and you know, it's just, that's why I need more greenhouses, because it just takes too long to get the volume that you need to sell. This is some transplanted cilantro and dill. We just did that today. I don't really like doing it. It's pretty hard to transplant that stuff. But these are some carrots, fall carrots. We've already picked a full bed of carrots in here that I planted back in April, and it was still kind of not ready yet. Weeds have been absolutely terrible in these onions this year because of the manure I was using, but that won't be a problem anymore after these. But these are shallots, and they're probably still a month out. I'm guessing these are all shallots and onions, this whole thing. I've probably gone over it in the past. Kale, black kale, we've been picking that a little bit already. It's doing pretty good. This is our first 2 beds. Oh no, it's our second 2 beds of the Salanova lettuce mix. that's I planted it like this, not really on purpose, just because I forgot to mix up the seed. So I had to do it this way just because it looks cool, and then also it mixes up the salad mix as you cut it, which is kind of a big deal. But these are, we've had a little bit of rot issues with the onions, probably because of the amount of rain we got this year. I've never seen that before, but there was a couple that rotted. But yeah, they're starting to really, they're still, I'm hoping we got another month of growth out of them, because I would like to see them get a lot bigger. At least the onions. The shallots, maybe not so much. They're getting there. There's a lot of shallots here. Yeah, they're actually starting to look close to ready. They're not going to get a whole lot bigger than that, but yeah, like those guys are really good. And we multi-sowed these. There's like 2 to 3 seeds per cell. And it's worked great. There's just going to be a truckload here. But yeah, so the most part they're doing well. And then yellow onions are the biggest so far. These are Patterson. These are from Johnny's. They're a really good storage onion. They're starting to really bulb up nice, but I hope we get bigger. Because I fed these really well with a lot of Jadam stuff, and then some dry fertilizer. And then these are Red Wing. Yeah, I'm really hoping these get a lot bigger. First time growing them, this variety, but they look like they got a long time to go still. And I'm guessing probably about a month they'll be flopping over and we'll be pulling them. So, because it's, yeah, late July now, late August is usually when they're ready. What do we plant these? May 5th or something. This is our asparagus. That's really been great this year. For the second year, it's been really good, very productive. And then head lettuce, we got a bunch of reds, red oak leaf kind of lettuce, oak leaf, and some iceberg, which is really exciting. I've never grown iceberg before. It's called Crispino. It's a nice little, really crunchy lettuce for sandwiches and stuff. Then we got a mini romaine. People seem to like minis better than the big romaines. These are the carrots we're going to be harvesting off next. They're almost ready. Planted all the way back in May. This is the newest bed of lettuce, and I got to replace some of them because we've had some super hot weather the last week. But luckily it's starting to cool off. Our hottest season is over now. We had some temps into the hundreds, but barely. It wasn't as bad as last year. And then this whole bed is all zucchinis. We got yellow, green over there, and then patty pans are starting to come on. We started picking those today. A lot of patty pans. Those are really popular. Let's see if I can find one. Now they're in there. And oh, I don't know if I can see any. Oh yeah, there's one. There's a good one. I don't know if you can see him. Yeah, there's a good patty pan. There's a bunch of them. They always seem to be a lot later than the other ones for some reason. I don't know why. And we got lots and lots of beets coming on, lettuce. These beets have been so slow. So slow. We've barely started picking beets in the field this year, and that's just, they've been hailed on twice, which is part of it. And just, you know, normal Wyoming cold spring. But they're gonna just explode now. And yeah, that's about it. That's about all that's growing on right now. Yeah, I'm excited to see the progress myself on the next couple videos, because there's a lot of things are going to happen. You know, the field's going to be changed. The whole farm's going to be changing every month, just because we're always planting new stuff. And then these 2 new greenhouses are going to be really exciting to see that develop by like October of this year. They're going to be totally planted with new stuff built, and we'll be harvesting through at least February, hopefully, in there. That's going to be pretty cool. We'll have winter carrots, spinach, claytonia, all sorts of green stuff that I've grown before, but now we'll just have a lot more room to do it. And yeah, I'm thrilled about that, because I've been running out of room. For the winter growing, you just need a lot of space, because nothing really grows in the winter, so you got to plant a lot more. So yeah, hope you liked that, and see you in the next one.